All right, take two. So I've wedged the clay. And I'm going to pound it to a ball. I'm going to go a little bit more. All right, just to let you know, at the end of the period, you're going to have a cylinder and a slab for the bottom and a handle. And our handle will be a loop. And we'll put it together like that. All right, so at the end of the period, you'll have three things you want to make. Okay, so again, we start throwing the slab. If I really wanted to make sure the clay didn't stick, I would get a dry board. I'll just go to the dry parts now. Make sure my slab's going to be at least as wide as the rectangle I'm going to make. I've already put the newspaper around my can and make sure it can slide out. So now, here we go again. It's getting sticky right there. And make sure I flip off the edge. It's already getting sticky. And I'm going to trim it because I know I don't need, I just need a little bit more than that. So I know I don't need that there. I'll save this for maybe the bottom. I'm going to move to a drier part of the canvas. Flip often, and I know I don't need that part up there. Flip even more often than two rolls. It's still moving, so I'm not quite there. All right, moved a little bit up top. And make sure it's about that's it. It's plenty big. So I'm going to actually trim a little bit more. Just have plenty. Yep, we're there. All right, what's the next step after I'm at the thickness of the sticks? What do I need to use to smooth it out?
The blue thing.
Yeah, the blue rib. Very good. And in the past I showed you you can put slip on there if your clay's kind of dry. But the clay's pretty wet, and try to not use slip for this project because we're going to be handling this, so we don't want it excessively wet. So I go this way, start on the edge. I can go this way. And why do I want to use the blue rib?
To smoothen it out.
Smoothing it out, but for technical purposes, what else?
So it doesn't rip.
So it doesn't what?
Rip.
rip. But yeah, so there's lots of small cracks in here, and small cracks become big cracks. So you want to make it stronger by closing up those cracks. All right. Then I take my cylinder or my rectangle and put it down. My knife. Just cut it out. Then take away the extra. Make sure I flip it off and blue rib this side. All right, then I'm going to get my cylinder wrapped in newspaper and wrap it around. All right, so we have too much, and that's good because you can always trim away some. So I'm going to trim a little bit away. And you can see that it's not quite coming together. You don't really want to overlap it. For this, you can just, for you guys, you can just bring the two sides and butt them up together. So I'll just need to trim some more. Get that perpendicular. Get that away. And so right about there and there. And you might notice that it's a little bit too short. And that's okay because I can just get the blue rib, make sure it's clean, and start opposite of my seam. The seam is here. Start opposite and pull the blue rib toward the seam. It's sticky there. And if you need to go a little bit more to the other side, clean.
Is this why you always drink Coke so you have cans?
Yeah, I'm doing this I drink Cokes for you guys.
Oh, come on, don't do that.
All right, and usually I would have you guys, when you join Clay to Clay, how do we do that? Score it and slip. But this clay should be soft enough so you can just blend the outside. So I'm going to bring it together a little bit more. So blue rib, bring it together. And for this project, you can just blend it together. Once it's blended, so just set this aside and let that set up. Then you need, what else do we need here? What have we made so far? The what? What's this shape called? The cylinder. We made the cylinder, so we still need to make the bottom and we need to make the handle. So either get more clay or maybe you had some extra from the slab you were rolling, and we need to make another slab for the bottom. So this one's dry stuff out of the way. And it just needs to be bigger than your cylinder. That's plenty big. Let me flip it again. Okay, so this will do just fine. I can use the blue rib. Close off those cracks, smooth it out. Okay, and when you put them away, when you get a
Can this thing not turn? Okay.
You're going to use one of the small square plastic boards. You'll need to put some newspaper down. Why do we put the newspaper down?
It doesn't stick.
Yes, so it doesn't stick. The newspaper down. I can put this here and put this on top of it. So we have 2 parts now. What do I need to make still for the mug?
Your handle.
I mean the handle, yeah. So we can get some of this clay and wedge it up. It's kind of hard to wedge small amounts of clay, but we got to get the air bubbles out. Settle down. All right, I made some of these dowels, 3/4 inch dowels, so you can see how thick to make your handle. The mugs you have at home, the handles probably aren't this big because they're probably made out of a high fire clay, and our clay is a mid fire, so it doesn't get as solid, as dense. So wedge this out. And while I'm getting some air bubbles out, I'm trying to give it shape. I know I don't need this much, nearly that much, so put that away. Even stretch it out by throwing it. Man, this is way too much, so I cut off the ends. That's where air bubbles are often accumulate. If you want more even coils, you just touch it lightly when you're turning it, and then spread your hands apart as you're rotating the clay. And you can, so I'm still not quite there yet. And I can tell this is way too much clay still, so you can just cut some away. Getting close. All right, I'm about there. So if it's a little bit thicker, that's okay. If it's a little bit thinner, that should be okay too. I'm just gonna kind of gauge the size, see how much clay I need to hold my hand. And again, does clay expand, stay the same, or shrink when it dries?
Shrink.
Shrinks. So I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger than what you think you'll need. Let's see, I know there. All right, so I can trim off more. All right, so about there. If you want, you can just butt the joint together and kind of blend it. because, and then just put it off to the side. Oh, if you get some cracks, how do we deal with cracks? Water or slip. And so I might as well do that here. Water. Is there any water in those? Oh, well, I guess I'll have some from this bucket here, cleanup bucket. Just get your fingertip wet. And close up any cracks that form, especially right where you bent the clay. All right, then. So I have my cylinder, my slab for the bottom, and my handle. Just gonna stick this here so I can cut it off later. Should probably blend this better. All right, then I'm gonna get a plastic bag, wrap it up, and put it in the locker. Any questions about the project? No. All right, so we'll have this video to refer to. All right, you can go to cut it.